In part 1 of this video, we will cover the cutting and preparation of our small wooden MDF sign. In part 2 we will cover the graining process itself. I start by engraving the words fake wood into a piece of 12mm MDF. I'm using a 90-degree V cutter, and the letters are currently being cut about 2.5 to 3mm in depth. Using a router table, I will now put a beveled edge on my sign. We are now ready to begin the preparation process. We start with orange shellac. I've mixed it up with some methylated spirits, and I will now apply it to the edges of my MDF as well as the top face. The orange shellac will give the MDF a yellowish colour, which is what we want as a base coat to our stain. To get the base coat colour the way I want it, I will be giving the MDF 2 coats of shellac. Now that we've got a good coating of shellac on the MDF, we'll leave it to sit for a while to dry before applying our second coat. We are now ready for our second coat of shellac. You'll notice that I'm brushing the shellac off the brush before I apply it to the MDF. This is because The first coat has partially sealed the MDF, and as you can see, the amount of shellac needed to cover it is nowhere near as much as it did the first time when it was soaking into the surface. I will now leave this to dry, and in part 2 I'll show you how I put the wood graining effect on. Welcome to part 2 of this video. The shellac on our MDF is now dry. We are now ready to begin the staining process. I am using resin colour wood stain. This one is water based and its colour is dark Remu. This is the wood graining tool I'll be using to put the grain effect on the MDF. It is simply a curved piece of rubber with a series of arcs on it. The second tool I have is a slightly different curve radius and slightly wider apart arcs. We start by applying stain to our MDF piece. I'm starting on the edges here. Just let the stain soak into the edges. And then I will coat the face of the MDF with stain. You'll notice here that I'm working the stain into the lettering. This is to give the lettering this nice dark brown colour. Don't worry about swirl marks and things at this stage. They can be brushed out once you've got the stain you want into those letters. If at this stage you would like a nice hardwood look with no heart in at all, then simply grab a large dry bristled brush and run the brush up and down in the direction that we wish the grain to go, and you'll end up with quite a nice hardwood grain effect. In my case, I want a nice heart effect on the wood, so next we need the wood graining tool. Now the tool is simply dragged across the face of the MDF, and as it goes it will remove stain a bit like a squeegee, and the tool is given a gentle rocking motion. As you can see there, I didn't have the tool held down quite right, and I ended up with some places that missed. This isn't a problem, just simply brush out the stain again and reapply with the tool until you get the grain effect that you're happy with. That's the one great strength of this particular technique, is that you're not stuck with the first mistake you make. You can go on to make plenty more before you're finally finished. Here I am just applying a small amount of heat from a heat gun, the heat gun set on low, just drying off that top layer of stain. This is what it looks like after we've finished drying it. but it's not quite finished yet. Personally, I like to have the wood a little bit darker in the background there, so what I'm now going to do is I'm going to apply a second coat of stain. I'm just going to put some on the edges to begin with, and then on the face. I'll then wipe the stain off the face. The more stain I leave on the face, the darker the wood will be, but the original grain that I've put on will remain visible. You don't want to overdo the amount of stone you put on the face though. Like I said, if you put a lot on, it will go quite dark, so I'm just putting it on just a light coat. I'm now taking a long bristled dry brush and just brushing it across the surface of the wood, sort of evening out the stain and also giving it a more grain-like effect. I'll now just give it a quick going over with the heat gun and just touch up any areas I think that which need it with the brush. And here's the finished result. I hope you've enjoyed this video and will give this technique a go for yourself.